Hey, welcome back. The future of everything, the future of NASA back into focus today with the renomination of Jared Isaacman to lead the agencies. Now, priority-wise, not much new from the private space-walking billionaire astronaut, but he did make one thing very, very clear. The clock is ticking if America wants to win the space race. Watch this.
The last time I sat before you, I introduced myself, my qualifications, and the challenges and opportunities ahead. This time, I'm here with a message of urgency. This is not the time for delay, but a time for action. Because if we fall behind, if we make a mistake, we may never catch up, and the consequences could shift the balance of power here on Earth.
So what is the plan for keeping America ahead? For starters, picking up where we left off. That means getting back to the moon and before China. Isaacman says he is committed to landing American astronauts first by the end of the decade. And don't automatically assume it's going to be a SpaceX rocket that takes them there. More on that in just a minute. But at the same time, he says we don't have to choose between the moon and Mars. We can head for the red planet aside Artemis. We are talking bases, talking possibly a Martian colony, economy, quantum communication. It is part of his push to be the first on the red planet as well. And to get there, reusable rockets are going to have to be just the start. Isaacman wants maybe nuclear propulsion, electric and thermal. The next giant leap with urgency that he is comparing now to the Manhattan Project. Let's bring in Audrey. She is a space and emerging tech reporter over at Politico. Always great to see you. Welcome back. All right. So getting straight into what he hit at the top, right? The urgency idea. He said, look, there's a lot that's changed, but he seemed very urgent. In fact, I think we have some of that. Let's take a listen. Looks like we may not have that. But when he started those remarks and you heard that sense of urgency, what went through your mind?
Right. And so he made commitments to Senator Cruz, who's the chairman of the Senate Commerce Committee who oversees NASA, that, you know, as administrator, he will make sure that the U.S. beats China back to the moon. And China plans to land around 2030. And so the clock is ticking on Artemis 3. And he also touched on the competition between SpaceX and Blue Origin to provide the lunar lander. And he said he supports the competition. Competition good is good. Whoever builds it first, that's who we're going to go with. And he said he didn't get into the details per se of the program or where the competition stands. I'm assuming, you know, he needs to get in as administrator to kind of see where things stand, program and schedule wise. But he was very adamant that it will happen in time.
Got it. And you called this Artemis contract coming up last time we talked to you. What's Isaacman's position on that competition and the delayed timeline that you've been reporting on?
Right. So Isaacman didn't say, you know, whether he would go with SpaceX or Blue Origin per se, but he just, you know, said that open competition is good and whoever builds the lander the fastest will win, essentially. But he definitely emphasized that competition is good. And at the end of the day, whoever, you know, gets there first, they're going to be the ones who land on the moon.
And speaking of, I mean, Elon Musk and Isaacman's connections to SpaceX. I mean, he's flown on a SpaceX rocket. That came up too. Let's take a listen to that if we haven't.
Was Elon Musk in the room when President Trump offered you the job?
Senator, my interview, my conversations with the president, and there were dozens of people moving in and out of the room, and I don't think it's fair to bring any of them into this matter.
What was the value of these contracts for space flights with SpaceX?
Well, I mean, Senator, just to clarify on these points, I have no direct or indirect equity exposure to any aerospace company, including SpaceX.
Did it feel like he was kind of distancing himself a little more here? Like, remind us of the relationship and the potential conflicts of interests that were raised in the past.
Right. So Musk and Isaacman did have a close business relationship. As you mentioned, you know, he's flown up on SpaceX rockets. His former payment processing company, Shift4, also did business with SpaceX. So, you know, some senators were concerned about that and, you know, were worried that, you know, potential ties business-wise could possibly lead him to favor SpaceX because, SpaceX gets massive, billion-dollar contracts from NASA. So they want to make sure that there's, no more ties. And Isaacman was very clear. He said he's not a friend of Musk. He's not a close ally. And that at the end of the day, he's disclosed all of his financial ties. He's done the right things with all of the ethics committee. So he made it very clear that he is not a friend.
Yeah, we'll see how fast he can actually get into the chair here. Audrey Decker, always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.